Hello again. Welcome to another program in the series, Homo Politicus, on Enterprise TV here in Lagos. I am Citizen Jones Usen. Today, we look at a great son of Nigeria who has passed. Former Education Minister Osuji passes at 82. An educationist goes home. Now, the late American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow said in one of his poems, quote, "Lives of great men all remind us that we can make our lives sublime and departing leave footprints on the sands of time," end quote. Now, these footprints, I must add, are never made sitting down. The dreary news of the death of Professor Fabian Chinedum Osuji was broken by the family on Wednesday, February 29th, 2024. Aged 82 years, the late professor of applied biology returned from the USA, where he vacationed, having been pre-treated for undisclosed medical issues. Recall that the late educationist was named Federal Minister of Education by former President Olusegun Obasanjo upon winning his second term in 2003. From very humble beginnings as a lecturer at the University of Ibadan, Professor Osuji was a visiting scientific fellow at the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, Vienna, Austria, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, or the FAO. A publisher of over 35 papers and books, late Professor Fabian Chinedum Osuji was a great man from Nigeria and whose life and times should be celebrated. We do so now, and I have my discussant, chartered accountant and national affairs commentator, Mr. Akin Fatunke. Akin, I welcome you.
I thank you very much, Citizen Jones. And I'd like to say greetings to Nigerians. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay then. Lives of great men will remind us we can make our lives sublime. And the subliminal nature of great men will not be something you pick on the floor in the everyday Nigerian parlance, if you see what I mean. Professor Osuji was here amongst us.
He was here. He played his part well. And like Shakespeare posited, he played his role, exiting in glory. My only challenge is that those we call great men and women who should have their footprints in the sands of time, walking through our climb here, are often dirtied, modeled, virtually try to grasp for life. And then when they leave, we begin in a fashion that I cannot really understand, and in a culture that I am not able to decipher. We begin to see the goodness that they exuded.
But there have been men and women like Professor Osuji in our lifetime. I remember Dr. Taisho Larin. We have the current Professor Wole Soyinka. We must not fail to mention Professor Chinua Achebe, and there are many.
There are certainly many, and I dare say, and the theme of where I'm coming from, yes, we had these men, but we dragged them one way or the other. We're still dragging, we are still dragging those who are alive. And for Professor Osuji, he was dragged in his lifetime, I dare say. An accomplished and established academic, is sober, highly sober information commissioner in Imo State, a deputy VC in Imo State University, pro-chancellor at UNN, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, was dragged in his lifetime. There were controversies that came in between when Obasanjo, got him on board as the Federal Minister for Education. It was slightly after Babalola Borishade.
Yeah.
And there were, as usual, deans of scandal that could not be proven, was not proven. And this did not even give cognizance to this zoologist who became a professor of biology and became one of the poster output of Nigeria in terms of education and jurisprudence. I mean, he wrote so many books, more than 35. It did not matter at that time when you now then scale to our climb, and Professor Osuji stood on the side of change. The East Nigeria politics that raged in the last elections, usually you have assemblic individuals who just want to keep a bit quiet. But he was not one to want to keep quiet when the Indigo and the House of Indigo was going to be torn apart. He clearly called out Professor Soludo and said, Charles, I sat as the pro-chancellor when your papers were brought to appoint you to be a professor. Yes, you did well. You were not the only person that then President Obasanjo was considering. But President Obasanjo looked at the side of the Southeast and called in Professor Osuji and called, Okunjo-Iweala. We could easily have said no at that time. We didn't. We said we should all come together and support you. So why all this tear apart between Apga and Peter Obi and what have you? And called on Soludo to please, come on, don't continue to drag your brother in the mud. All that is history. I am making this point, it may not be known to so many, that he stood at the background and he thought that the house of the Indigo might come crashing down if they don't come with one voice. And he played his part. Whether Indigo and, in fact, Indi Nigeria eventually took to that, his admonition is something that I know up till now we are still trying to patch and repatch. But that great man, Professor Osuji, also with all his achievements beyond Nigeria, was having his modest abode at Guarimakpa. Unlike where you find people at Guarimpa.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Guarimpa.
Okay.
In the outskirts of Abuja, very modest. And there celebrated his 88th birthday and spoke about his dreams and his vision for Nigeria, which unfortunately now has been carried away. I celebrate him. I agree with you. I was going to say Professor Jones, who said you are a professor in the field of broadcasting. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, I think we should again begin to rethink on this pull him down syndrome. You know, he was actually succeeded by Chinwe Obaji, and in that education ministry, up to Mrs. Grange. These are technical people that come in, corrupted by politicians, you know. At the end of the day, if you are not very careful, you find yourself on a banana
I think
peel.
it is this pull him down syndrome, what on the street is known as the PhD syndrome. That's my concern here. I do remember another minister in the name of Mrs. Adenike Grange was pulled down in spite of her sterling qualities. Is that us? Is that the Nigeria of our dream, a collective dream?
Oh yes, sanctimonious pomposity. Scurrilous, I have to be there. Situations where, yes, you're not going to have my back. I must pull you down as much as possible. You know how many professors have been pulled down? Mrs. Grange, at the end of the day, innocently was asked an alleged pardon or no pardon of budgets by politicians who were third, fourth, perhaps fifth generation of the people she taught. Where will you put Professor Batnaji? Also doing well, but then, you know, kids and kin will find a way to try and bring him down. And, you know, Jonathan, at the height of it, had to try and ask him to step aside on ethical considerations. The present governor of Lagos State, I dare say, two predecessors before him. I'm talking about Raji Fashola. Also, we are going to be on banana peels, on the Jagaban of the universe, as they call him. The maverick himself. Help them to hold the politics. Stand in the right of the politics, that we are not going to allow these people to fall down until eventually the Machiavellian tendency came in, and then you remember it was alleged that Obasanjo and Fashola was going to come into place, was not going to do a second term. And while Fashola put his focus on the technicality, at the end of the day, Bola Tinubu succumbed. I did not see this with Obasanjo when Professor Fabian Osuji was going to get on a banana peel, alleged. I thought my dear president at that time should have stood his ground. If it's not proven, it's not proven. And then people started talking about here and there. Because that didn't stop then, Jonathan ran into perhaps the same problem. Okay, where Olubunmi Ojo is also in that same kind of problem, waiting to see if we'll be proven guilty or not guilty.
Let me punctuate here.
At the end of the day.
I'm not doing so unnecessarily. I raised, before we came on air, I talked about any politician of note who elects to be president of the country becoming his own man. It would appear it's a tall order here. You can't come here and be your own man.
You can't be your own man because we are different in so many respects. And for you to be president means there will have to be rapprochement. You have to be in a consensus. You have to let down guards in some respect. We have the federal character anyway. And if you felt that your best man in the order of Fabian Osuji, who does not believe, and his gestalt and his worldview is that it has to be competence and not necessarily it's my turn, it's on your turn, it's my tribe, and what have you. If you found that that is going to be the way to chart the Nigerian map forward, you cannot. You cannot.
The collective country of our the country of our collective.
So we are different countries, we are different people, we are different cultures. And perhaps the only way is that we keep on just trying to put a glue to say we can be glued together.
But we are not the only country with many nationalities. The United States of America is a country of many nationalities.
Because they practice federalism. We have copied that federalism from them, but we are anything but being federal. And in any case, Yugoslavia broke into different parts, or USSR broke into different parts. It did not necessarily bring in element of peace. What the tension is with us here is to continue to say that we are not negotiable. That's a lie unto himself or to itself. And so, for you to now want to be your man, you, under the present constitution, take it or leave it. If you are not capable of being able to touch the 6 geopolitical zones and have some kind of imprint, no matter how good you are, you'll be able to rule.
Yeah. So we're a long way from home.
We are far away from home. It's the same thing, right?
So, okay. Yeah.
When you are far away from home, sometimes you are lost. I like to say we are lost. We are getting rather very lost.
Would we ever get home?
We'll get home if we realize that in the first place we are lost or we are a long way from home. But when we keep on lying to ourselves, and the late Emeka Ojukwu will now, at the end of it all, will now see a nationalist that he will now want to describe as the best president Nigeria never had. When that president was on, you were top shot on it to say that it has to be Republic of Biafra. So the many infractions that are happening, that is not being reconciled, I am praying the passage of great men who have walked this way,
and women,
I dare say children too, youths who have walked this way and have suddenly find themselves on great, the other side of the divide, who perhaps begin to galvanize us and say, why did you have to do this? Why did we have to be so virulent in some of the things that we do? Why do we want to believe that every other person is not good apart from you and yours?
Yeah.
Professor Osuji is going to be highly, highly remembered. He has produced professors who have produced professors who have also produced professors in this country. He's a man that was born in the north, part of Nigeria. Of course.
Nigeria of yore.
When Nigeria was Nigeria.
Yeah.
And then, dying at this time, my hope and my belief is that he will have something to stand to his name. We always try to do that. A memento to stand to his name, and that we recognize the fact that education, for which he was a minister at that point in time, has not taken us to the level that we expect that it should take us to.
Actually, we are not in this quagmire as a country, as a polity, because we lack men and women of resource. But the major problem is harnessing these men and women for the common good. We're lacking in that.
Because we have elected to go for mediocrity. Mediocrity, our children are coming from school and are asking me to SWOT. Somebody can just be a politician and go to the local government or state government or go to National Assembly, and then he begins smiling to the banks. And those are those places I say, what the hell are you doing swatting? Are we not starting on a very false foundation where money and blood money matters, where we want to close our eyes and close our ears to things we hear and things we see that is not going to take us to the next generation? It's also very difficult, Cecil Jones, to say we are not capable of amassing. We know them, we see them, they are there. But because they don't have the MVP Okay, the motives, the values, and the preferences that is cheap at the marketplace. We leave them and go for people who can go and swear at Okija, people who can do a lot of sabaratu, people who can bury fellow men and women alive, people who can do the work here that we had, people who will take the ballot box and swallow it, go and ask Ebenezer Babatope. People who will say, yes, these are the ballots, you have taken it. Now they take it and scatter it. Back in the MPN and UPN days, somebody will just take the ballot box and he will swallow it. And okay, do what you will.
Hell.
So, we have them, we know them, we meet them in our classrooms.
So what's happening to us and with us is by choice.
It's by choice because we have lacked values. We have lacked the right orientation. We have decided to go to the other side when the whole world is going on the opposite direction. We have decided that we are going to build the most edifices that will help us do our religiosity. Some of the best buildings that you are going to find in our environment are religious homes. And we have to do the balancing. That to be a church, that to be a mosque. And people are also now asking that please, we have to build a shrine when our industries are dying and are voting with their legs. So we have decided not to hold truth sacred and, sacrosanct.
Yeah.
And the only way is if my truth is different from your truth, Sissy Jones. There is no.
They say it's relative.
So go your way and let me go my way. Do your own truth the way you want to do your truth. I do my truth the way to do my truth. If
you go your way and I go my way, what happens to the center?
The center, we now then agree what we'll do at the center. This is the constitution that we are asking to be reviewed. And we don't have to split blood. That is the way you want to do your own. So look at the resources that you have within you to help you within your truth. I stay with the truth that I know and the resources within my truth. I will not have it all. One must have a common ground because we stay in the same country, the same geographical location. It's just that we are trying to fashion a means for us to come. I contribute something to the center, you contribute something to the center for a collective.
All right.
It's not rocket science.
Let me put a Ghanaian writer here, Ernest Yeboah. He said something like, great songs are gone unsung, songs remain. Who will sing them?
Where is the orchestra?
Where's the orchestra? So
the orchestra
is missing?
The orchestra is missing. There's a left hand that's supposed to join with the right hand. And it's not there, and then you begin to wave, and those are the things that we keep on shouting and touting. A Ghanaian writer also spoke about the fact that the beautiful ones are not yet born. What does that mean? It means that we still continue to regress backwards. When we were going to play AFCON, it did not matter where you came from. It did not matter the local champions, even if we don't have them, those who have trained outside, who are of mixed blood, but are Nigerian by birth, all came together, and these guys worked wonders. But at the tail end, something that happens to Professor Fabian Osuji was now going to happen to some of our stars. Netizens started calling names and asking them to die and all that. Why? What has become of us as a people? It is not about win. It's about, yes, collectively, let's work as a team. If we didn't make it this time, we can build on where we have reached and then go on to the next level. But the PhD that you mentioned is also part of the reasons that people now say now the coach has to be sacked, it has to be a foreign coach, it cannot be a local coach and all that. Not knowing that, pointing that one finger to look for faults, the remaining are pointing at you.
Yeah.
We need a total mindset orientation, reorientation, to look at truths.
Are you talking about raising the structure, bringing down the structure?
The structure is already down. For all intents and purposes, in my honest opinion, we are patching it. We are just trying to put patching it. Some people are smiling to the banks. The vast majority are hungry. The vast majority are angry. And we must bring down this structure. We must accept the fact that the structure has not worked for us. And if 2027 happens tomorrow, we are going to be at a worse position than we were in 2023. That much I know. So let's bring down this structure. Let's have discussions around and accept the fact that we are different people and different language and different religion. And we can shake hands across the Niger, across the Benue. And we can still be very good people because we have a history that has brought us together, but we don't have the discipline and the federal character to be able to say you first before me. I haven't seen that happen. And until that happens, I'm afraid more blood might flow.
Okay. Aki, let's go back there. The beautiful ones are not yet born. Indeed, they are not yet born. Otherwise, we are saying men and women of ideas aren't here with us.
We had men and women of ideas. Many of them are in the graves. We still have men and women of ideas that are not being listened to. What makes me shudder is that those who are now coming, the youths, I read somewhere, somebody said that, was it Professor Lumumba, who actually made the point that the youths are going to be much more vicious than the elderly ones in terms of the kind of corruption that we are going to face. We have bred monsters, and those monsters are just waiting to swallow themselves and then swallow us. And the words of Pa Abraham Adeson, the renowned Afenifere leader, who called Solomon La, who called his Southeast counterparts, who called his South-South counterparts, and said, let's come together. Let's get these youths together. Let them make their mistakes while we are alive. Because by the time we leave, if we are not careful, it's going to be terribly worse. Are we not facing it now? So.
Yeah. Aki, but you would have expected that the not too young to run bill that's become law would have been taken advantage of.
Yeah. The problem sometimes is not so much the legislation or the bill, but the mindset. The poison chalice that has gone, that keeps on going from generation to generation. An Igbo man cannot vote easily in a place like Lagos. A Yoruba man cannot vote easily in the other side, in Igbo land. And in the north, Moradin herdsmen come and rampage, and we keep our eyes on the other side for so long, only for power to change. And then these people are now finding their voice and say, no, this kind of things won't happen. Now we are suffering. Have we not been suffering? You see, the capacity to have the character to speak the truth, irrespective, even when you speak that truth that you know is not going to be in your quote and unquote favor. That's the mark. That's the mark of a man. We lost Fabian,
Professor Fabian Ngozi Chukwu Chinedum Osuji.
I hope we'll not lose some of the salient points that he made, starting with the Indigo Nation. Unite. Come with one voice. Come to the fray. Reach out beyond your enclave. Nigeria will be waiting for you, if that is possible. Will that be possible? Will that be possible? is a question that is growing in the wind. So if that is not going to be possible after 60, 65, go to 70 years, why don't we just apply the brakes and allow ourselves to go slightly loose? It's going to be a confederal.
Knowing when to apply the brakes will remain the mark of the man.
The mark of a human being that knows the fact that his time on earth is limited, and no matter how much you either steal or you misappropriate, a day is going to come you will not be able to lift your hand, lift your leg, and the whole thing will now either be lying somewhere in Switzerland.
Okay, very sorry, we must go. The producer's index finger is saying wind up.
Okay.
So, but not before repeating what the American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow said. Lives of great men all remind us that we can make our lives sublime and departing leave footprints on the sands of time.
So that when we are coming on, the child was crying. When you are going, so many people are crying. That will be the legacy, and not a situation where I say good bags to bad rubbish.
Yeah.
I just say, Professor Osuji, may your memory continue to rest in perfect peace, and the memory of the all faithfully, departed in your mold be remembered for good. Those of us who are here, journalists, broadcasters, politicians, engineers.
One profound saying comes to mind here. It's credited to the American film director and comic, Woody Allen.
Woody, great old Woody.
Woody said, I'm not afraid of death. I don't want to be there when it happens.
Oh, yeah?
It sounds crazy, but it's something for you to ponder.
Something for us to ponder.
Yeah.
About Wigwe, his wife, his son comes to mind. I am sure when he was embarking on that journey, I disbelieve that he felt that he will not come back.
Okay.
Lesson for all of us.
Okay, we must go. So Professor Osuji has passed, but I dare say he was not there when it happened. Bye-bye now.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.